Hey guys, it's Dani'i and welcome to another learning session, and in this one we will be talking about the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. And before I tell you exactly what it is and go in depth, please subscribe if you haven't and tap the notification bell so you know every time when I post a new video. So now let us explore this that is really popular in the meteorology community. Okay, so with everything there is always a little bit of history behind it, and right here I have the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Was developed in 1971 by civil engineer Herbert Saffir and meteorologist Robert Simpson. And because it is these two persons that actually made up the scale, that is why it's called the Saffir-Simpson scale. So each name comes from their names because all credit goes to them for making it. And actually, with the abbreviation, you may not see the full name Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. You may just see Saffir-Simpson scale, hurricane wind scale. It is the same thing. So anytime you hear anything about hurricanes and wind scales, you know that we're talking about the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. So now, let us see more about it. Okay, so here we have an example of it. And first we have to start off from the non-hurricane classifications up to the hurricanes. So first we have the tropical depression that has winds of, we're gonna use miles per hour here. We're more familiar with miles per hour. If you're familiar with knots, well, the knots are right over to your right. So a tropical depression has winds of 0 to 38 miles per hour, and when it arrives at 39 miles per hour to 73 miles per hour, we have a tropical storm. And now up to a hurricane now. A hurricane has winds of 74 to 95 miles per hour. That is a Cat 1. A Cat 2 has winds of 96 to 110 miles per hour. And right here from we have Cat 3 to Cat 5. These are major hurricanes. So a major hurricane starts from Cat 3. So Cat 3 has winds of 111 miles per hour to 130 miles per hour. A Cat 4 has winds of 131 miles per hour to 155 miles per hour. And a Cat 5 has winds of 156 miles per hour and beyond. Because with a Cat 5 there is no limit, because nothing else is going to come after that. We don't have a Cat 6. But an example of a Cat 5 that was truly awful was back in 2015 with Hurricane Patricia that achieved winds of 215 miles per hour. So this really was for the Pacific hurricane season, and I'm so happy that it did not make landfall in Mexico as such a strong hurricane, else things could have been worse because the damage was already done. It was pretty devastating there. So this really is how the Saffir-Simpson scale goes. It's not just from Cats 1 to 5, but from tropical depression up to Cat 5. So what is the damage now with each of these? We know that as we go up, the damage is going to get more and more devastating. So now let us see that. Okay, you might not be able to see this because the writings are so tiny, but I'm going to read it for you. So for Cat 1, the winds can cause some damage to houses and tree branches might break off. Power lines may be damaged, leading to power outages, and we see this a lot as it comes on to landfall in hurricanes. In almost every country that has a landfall in hurricanes, they switch off the electricity or power lines are damaged, and that is why some places won't have power for a quiet number of days or potentially weeks. And for Cat 2 now, more dangerous winds can cause major damage to buildings and some trees may be uprooted. There will be power loss that could last more than a few days. So with the loss of power, that is more with Cat 2 up, because the Cat 1 winds are not very strong. Of course they are strong and destructive, but not as destructive from Cat 2 to Cat 5. For Cat 3, damage to trees and houses will be substantial, and access to water and electricity may not be available for a while after the storm, because we know that after a hurricane, water sources could become polluted, and that is why while preparing for a hurricane they always say you must get additional water and food supplies, especially tin items. For Cat 4, even more damage to houses, trees, and power lines. The damage could make places unlivable for weeks or months after. And this I know that Maria was not a Cat 4 hurricane, it was a deadly Cat 5, but Maria is a perfect example with what is being said right here, because, and Irma of course from 2017, because some of the islands in the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands, a few of those were uninhabitable because of the destruction. The destruction was so widespread in those areas that persons could not stay there. Remember, after Hurricane Irma, then they heard about Maria, they say, oh no, we got to get out of here. So this is truly awful. And for Cat 5 now, the winds can lead to catastrophic damage to homes, trees, and power lines. Power could be out for weeks or months, leaving those affected areas uninhabitable. So what I just said is really what is explained at Cat 5. So an example is seen in Puerto Rico where the power was out for months. It was really early last year, I believe, when Puerto Rico actually got back electricity, and I'm happy that it was not a long time after, although it was devastating, because knowing myself, if I had to go through months without power, I don't even know how I'd survive, but I would have to survive some way. So this is actually the damage, and we see that as we go down to Cat 5, the damage got more and more. So that is the thing with hurricanes, they're just always devastating. So as this hurricane season is coming up, ensure that you guys start preparing. If a hurricane is gonna head your way, know that you must not take any unnecessary risks. You must call in with your family or see if your neighbors are doing okay, and if you have pets, please protect them as well. So that's just a tip. So have a fantastic day. If you enjoyed this learning session, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and just have a wonderful day and stay weatherwise.